Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth. Welcome back to Level Up with Hakeem, your host. My guest today is reshaping how hotels and hospitality businesses think about growth, revenue, and the guest experience. He's a commercial leader who has spent his career finding a gap between where business is and where it could be and then close it. He is currently Chief Growth Officer of both MyStay and Suusify. He bring a rare combination of strategic thinking and hands-on execution, and everything really that he touches, I think, makes a magic. So we got to jump into that in a moment. Arne, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to
Really
be
good
here.
to have you. Good to have you here. Let's jump directly to it and start from the beginning. I think for who's in the show from the audience don't know you yet, want to know who you are, what are you doing, and what actually drive you in that business.
Well, I'm Arne Hagstad. I'm from Norway, but I live in Denmark now. Been here for 4 years, escaping from the climate to a little more warm than Norway at least. And yeah, I've been basically spent my adult life in hospitality tech. It's 18 years now. I help hotels turn technology from something they have to deal with into something that actually helps them make money, save time, and, run better business.
Yeah.
So I was part of building Wisbook, which I started with hospitality tech. I came from banking and insurance.
Wow.
And yeah, I was helping building Wisbook from a tough position and, put them to a place where they are like the market leader within Scandinavia. It was a very long journey, interesting journey, and I learned a lot from that. And, when you're working with technology in this timeline, all of the changes,
Yeah.
it has been really exciting, really.
It is. I can imagine.
Yeah. And to now, I'm Chief Growth Officer at Suusify, which is a BI platform for hotels. And what drives me is, is the action. I tend to feel that hotels don't need more like dashboard just to look smart in meetings. What they need is insight. I like to see that now I know what to do thanks to the tools you're giving them. And I love looking at cases I've been worked with has ended up to be like success stories and everything. And
Really nice.
have a common goal for success.
This is great to hear. I'm really looking forward to unpack more AI-related hospitality tools and how does that work. But I cannot continue before I ask this question. You were in banking and suddenly that's just a massive change. What happened? What made that change?
Well, that's a good story. I was, working with banking insurances, but I was in a fishing contest in the mountains of Norway. And we was living on a campsite and had a small fight with the people I was in the cabin with who was going to go with the garbage, and I lost. So I went with the garbage, and then a farmer in a tractor came by and stopped talking with me. And I come to the point where I was saying that I wish I could live here in the mountains because it's so beautiful here in the summers. And he was like, why don't you do that? Well, there's no jobs, in these areas. But to make it short, 14 days later, that farmer in that tractor came home to me with a working contract for Wisbook because he was one of the founders of Wisbook property management system.
Oh, that's great.
So if I didn't work with the trust that day, maybe I would still be in banking, I guess.
Wow, this is such an interesting story because you never know where life will take you, especially when you have this conversation and has nothing to do. And then moving from banking insurance to hospitality tech is so much different.
Yeah. And I never regret, by the way. I
Nice.
love the hospitality business and everything. And it took a little while to understand everything. But the more you're working with, critical solutions, you have to learn the business so much. And now I feel all of that insight has been quite helpful. And I just love to look to the future years and use that insight and help more hotels in the future.
Nice. I'm glad to hear. And thank you for sharing the story. Really nice to bring also to the audience. I love what you said in your LinkedIn bio. You said finding the gap between potential and performance and closing it. That's such a clean way to describe what you do. I'm really happy to get it, but I'm going to come really close to it. Where does that drive come from? Was there a moment early in your career shaped that mindset? Of course, coming back from banking and insurance, it might be a little bit different from what you're doing now, but was there a moment that you saw a problem maybe, or you wanted to solve something?
Yeah, well, my first job, one of my earliest jobs before banking and everything was when I was a door salesman. was selling cable TV and internet through fiber. And I found out quite early that advisory sales was the thing, because they will start suddenly asking me, yeah, well, where should I have the decoder, the modem, where should the cable goes and everything. And thankfully, I had technical experience from before, from school and everything. And suddenly I was more like a consultant than a salesperson at the door. And it ended up with signed contracts. And yeah, that's when I found out that, working with sales is something I love. When you feel that your product helps instead of just something that you push against the customer.
Yeah, I fully agree in that being on sales, I really mirror what you're saying, that sometimes you really need to dig a little bit deeper than just sales and understand about the product and the solution. And then you really can speak up for the product you're selling. I really love that. And I love actually the fact that you had a sales background, because I'm sure that also give you a lot of knowledge and experiences how to deal with the growth, with the problems, because of course it's a skill that any salesperson would have. But I'm really happy to hear that. And let's dig deeper into that. Thinking of the commercial strategy and problem solving and hospitality and what you do. You work with hotel groups, independent hotels, tourism businesses, hospitality tech companies. What is the biggest commercial mistake you see hotels making right now?
From the hotel side?
Yeah. Or hospitality in general, whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah. Well, everyone tries really hard to be unique, right? And in this world, with all this competition, that is quite hard.
That's true.
And to be honest, you don't need to be there. It's more about just be better to, scratch that itch for your guest or your customers. Be better solving the real demand and the pain points of the market you are going for. So yeah, of course, if you have something unique, well, congratulations, because that is kind of hard these days.
Yes.
But that is real. But if you have that, if you have a story, if you have an experience, use it. But yeah, everyone tries to think that we are so special, we are something unique and everything, and nothing can compare to that. But well, if that is your story, well, then you have to tell it in a good way too.
Yeah, I fully believe in that. I think we live in a world, like you said, the competition is so high, especially on hospitality, especially with the rise of AI and tech and all that. To be unique, I don't think it's that easy, because there's a lot of similarities, a lot of, very almost copy-paste brands we see almost all the time. So being unique is absolutely requires a lot of efforts, a lot of thinking. And like you said, and this is what I like the most, is really connect the story and the real experiences, because that's what makes anything special actually. Because of course, every startup business or every solution came with the story behind it that served, helping a problem or solving a problem. That's what really makes something authentic. So really, really happy to hear that. You talk also a lot about aligning commercial strategy, pricing, distribution, tech stack, and guest experiences. And to be honest, all that together is good to hear. But in real world, this is almost different teams in every organization, like 4 or 5 sometimes teams. So in the same time, I don't think most of them talks together all the time. Of course, yes, there might be some conversation, but everyone is also working kind of silos. So how do you even fix that? How do you begin to fix that?
Well, you're completely right. I think the biggest commercial mistake right now is that many hotels still treat the commercial work as a separate department, as you said, instead of one connected engine. I mean, revenue management sits here, marketing sits here, operation has its own reality, and, the front desk knows the people that sits there again. So, make this as a full engine is kind of hard. So, hotels ends up optimizing pieces of the business, not the business itself. A hotel might celebrate high occupancy, but the wrong guests came through the wrong channels at the wrong price with the wrong cost attached. Or they push direct bookings, but the guest journey is just full of friction.
Yeah.
Or they invest in tech to just thinking that will solve everything before they're thinking about the operational side and the people that is working at hotel. So for me, the biggest mistake is like confusing the activity with the commercial strategy. So hotels don't need more reports just to confirm what happened last week. They need to understand what is happening now, what it means, what they should do next. So the best hotels I see are the ones that connect revenue, marketing, operations, and guest experience. They don't ask, how do we sell more rooms? They ask, how do we make every guest, every channel, every decision more profitable? But that shift is kind of huge.
Yeah.
But where I've seen it is really made difference. There's a small leisure hotel chain here in Scandinavia I've seen that has done this in a very good way. And when they did this shift, they turned the revenue per guest, not per room, from 300 to 1,100 euros.
Wow. That's
So
really
that's a
interesting.
So yeah, it's a big shift, but it's totally worth it though.
Yeah, of course. And just out of curiosity, do you think is a difference between independent hotels versus large chains to actually implement that? I'm guessing maybe independent hotels are easier. I might be wrong, but what do you think?
To be honest, I think independent hotels will have an easier way to do this change because they are not controlled by central bureaucracy that already are overhead with projects.
Mm-hmm.
And, they lose a lot of time working with to align over the whole chain and the branding and everything. But I see more and more cases of independent hotels showing amazing results without the help with chain hotels having from their branding and the central command, because they can do the shift much more faster. And they have the ability to, do the change with a smaller team, but maybe a team that is even better set up, driving the boat in the same direction, right?
That's correct. Easier
Yeah.
communication and easier connect to each other, of course, and all that is absolutely right. I agree. I think in independent hotels, there's definitely something much easier, and good to hear that you also thinking the same. And it's a good transition to jump into the Suusify and actually what you do there. So let's bring this to the conversation in terms of what are you building right now. Tell us more about the hub by Suusify. What is it? What's the problem actually you're trying to solving in the market?
Well, the hub by Suusify, it's not a lot of what we just talked about, really. The hub is a BI tool for hotels that connect your systems and gives a single source of truth. So that means if you're a hotel manager, you have a full overview of the whole hotel in your hand, in your app, or on your desktop if you want to. And the hub is a BI tool that looks more forward. Many BI tools is like, you set up some reports, a lot of numbers, but it's history. But all the reports of the hub is also like, this is like 12 days backwards or 12 months or, etc. But it also have in the future to do the forecasting. And since it gets the data from all the departments, everything from marketing to channels to rate management, and the KPIs, and of course all of the key numbers from the main core solutions. It used that in a good way that you can see the bottlenecks immediately in a very good graphical way. And so instead of using meetings talking about the past and consolidate all the reports, you can use the meeting time to think, what is the next action? What is the next move to get more revenue, more success?
It's really interesting. And how does it look like on day-to-day use? That's one part. And my second question is, I'm thinking also that connect with PMS, CRM, or how does it work actually?
It connects with all the data solutions that you have that is at least on the revenue streams, but it also connects with everything from the booking engines to giving you good sentiment reports from TripAdvisor, Google reviews and everything. So it gives you the temperature of the guests before and after. It gives you the temperature of demand. It gives you the temperature of the pricing strategies, and it also gives the temperature of the status of the hotel itself, and even F&B and conference and everything. And it mixed that together and give you a visual look for what to do next. So instead of using time, as I said earlier, make those reports for each department, then there's, now the hotel manager knows the truth and can have a meeting with the revenue manager or the commercial manager, and they can immediately talk toward the future instead.
Yeah.
So it's a really handy tool, really. And today, revenue is not all about the pricing of the accommodation. It's so much more than that.
That's the really true. And do you, like as a user, do you feed it yourself, like information about concept, or does it give the AI like insights from the market? How does it work actually?
We have a crucial solution in behind, so it's a very good system, because the hub was made really just as a tool for a consultancy company that helped independent hotels get more revenue. But from working with several hundreds of hotels with this, internal tool. They found out that why not give this tool to the hotel so they,
Yeah.
more can just use that tool to help themselves. So it's come from that. And with all the data we got from the more the hotels we have, the more data we have, and we can use that data to help making better visual reports, better timing, and, more beneficial data to reach success, of course.
That's interesting. And being in sales myself, don't blame me. Always have to think about this. Is it useful for sales team who's working in hotels, like in terms of generating leads or outreach? Is that a feature there?
Absolutely, because you will have a very, very nice overview of what sort of type of guest you have, in which sort of periods of the time of everything. It also gives you a very good overview of how we look in social media, because we get also that type of data. And
Really?
it's also similarized with other hotels that you want to know. If you have some hotels that you look at, or competitors,
Sure.
or within the area, then you can see how your score is
Wow.
in comparison also, which can be really helpful for the salespeople that, okay, this is the type of the customer we need for June, especially for weekdays. And because this is the type of the customers that's also that giving us the best reviews, etc. And this is the customer that we find on this type of social media. So yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Very interesting. Is it also outreach? Like you can use it for outreach, like send directly from it, or doesn't?
No, it gives you the data, it gives you the overview of the status, and it gives you an overview of the forecasting and everything. But how to, it's not this critical tool like a CRM or a PMS or a RMS. It's not a critical tool. We are just showing data, not from the past, but in the future, and consolidate that in a very good, nice way. But again, yes, you still need tools to work with for marketing, selling, and everything.
Nice. That's good to
So
hear.
yeah.
I'm gonna definitely look into that more. I'm personally interested. I will see more. But I want to bring to the conversation something that I read on your LinkedIn, and it's about upsell and conversation, relevance versus noise. And I want to dig a little bit into that. You wrote something recently, like I mentioned in a post. You described a scenario where a guest books a hotel with half board included, and within 5 minutes gets all these messages trying to sell them, all the hotel feature. You call this a noise, and I agree with it, and it's not really upselling. Why is that distinction is so important for the guest?
Well, because upsell is about timing. Upsell is about knowing the guest, and there's a time and place for everything, right? So, and this is where MyStay, another company I work with, really found a way where the upselling and the guest communication get more natural, more timely correct, often in the gap between booking and arrival, the guest communication between that. Because when you book, it's like often that, okay, I need to have a room that day, but they're not maybe ready to know when they're going to have a spa massage, or if they're going to do this
Yeah,
wine tasting.
correct.
That will come maybe later on, but again, that's something also intrigues the guest before they arrive. And so that's why MyStay, with their guest experience solution, helps with communicate toward those guests in that type of gap. So when you read this, that was in comparison of the MyStay product.
Yeah, okay, that's really interesting. And to that, what does the good upsell looks like for you as well?
When it seems like it hits me as a person, because
Same.
yeah, if I'm visiting a hotel because I want to look at the nature around the hotel, then I don't care about that they have a gaming room with a PlayStation in the cellar, right? And it's the opposite. If you like food and drinks, well, that is interesting that the hotel communicates that to me, and not about that there's a nice museum down the road. So with MyStay as a guest experience solution, it asks this guest this question, so it makes a profile of the guest. So it only will communicate what interests the guest instead of spamming everything you have.
Wow, that's really good.
But that is a really nice balance, especially for resort hotels that has a lot of
Yeah.
services and ancillary solutions, etc. So yeah.
And does this happen before the guest arrival? So send like a questionnaire or some.
It's like an app where we have the whole information about the trip, when the check-in time is, which room you have, overview of the hotel, and we will see the services and everything, and you can even communicate through that with Meta and WhatsApp, etc. And it can also be the key to the room. So it's a good all-in-one solution. So that means for the hotel, they will always be in the pocket of the guest, really, because the guests have the detail there.
That's interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I really think it's, thinking of the technology and AI, this is exactly what I'm hoping for. I've been talking a lot about it in the podcast, of course. That's really, I think we are in a time that you cannot skip that, a use of AR technology, but really use it in the way. And I love this conversation. I love what they're doing and that because that's absolutely like best practices. So good transition to the next sort of section, AI and hospitality and what is hype and what is reality and what is really kind of changing the market. As we know, AI is everywhere right now. Every tech company says they have it, every hotel trying to have it or working on it. In your view, what's the real role of AI in hospitality today versus what is really sort of a hype and it's going to go?
Well, first of all, I have a strong feeling that the first wave of AI is a big bubble that will burst.
Yeah,
Really, I mean, there are so many new companies that have made solution with the dependencies to, LLMs, etc. And remember that most of the AI usage today is subsidized by the makers for the development. There are investors behind this, and they're still in the development progress. But there will come a day when the investor wants their money back, right?
yeah,
And that's when the price will go up. So, and old legacy solution that add AI to their old setup just for the hype, it doesn't help anyone.
that's correct. That's
Yeah,
really good.
I think the second wave of AI, where AI has been used to fix relevant problems and demands from the hotels itself, when you're thinking with hospitality tech, that's where the money and progression lies. So as soon as there are more of this AI solution that is built upon request demands from the hotels, I think we are into something. So just add a ChatGPT terminal into your software, don't make you...
Yeah, doesn't make
There's no magic in that.
yeah,
No, yeah. So yeah, has absolutely a role, but the role will develop from actual need, where it in fact removes friction.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think of that and I feel it's right. Are we on the transition to the second phase or still like everybody's trying to get involved in AI and implement it and I'm sure if I might be wrong and maybe hotels will be angry with me with that. Like I don't think also a lot of hotels are really making the most out of it. It can be used as a tool to help in admin or stuff like that. Yeah, but I think there are more, especially looking at what you do, of course, with the guest experience and the guest insights and bringing all this information. Probably there are some hotels doing it right, but I think we're still missing a lot of things. And also that connects to the real fear that is everyone is talking about it out there that is going to take jobs and it's going to reduce the amount of people working in a hotel and it's going to delete some job. I think some part of that is true, but I also would love to hear also your opinion about that.
Well, that's what I love with hospitality, because I feel that it is one of the last bastions of real human service, right?
Yes, it is correct.
Yeah.
It's the only maybe.
Yeah, and for those who wants good experience, especially on the leisure side,
Yeah,
they want human service. They don't want to have robot making your whiskey, because then is no one you can
absolutely.
talk about your feelings for whatever.
Absolutely agree.
So yeah, but of course the AI will help with a lot of automation, but we know with a lot of these repetitive tasks, etc. So there will be a change in the roles. A receptionist won't be a typical receptionist anymore. A receptionist can do so much more because of thanks to AI. They will have much more time to do more than just punching data into the PMS.
Correct.
And a revenue manager doesn't need to use all the time only on the pricing strategy of the rooms. They can think in a more wider view of the whole company, really. So I think there will be a big difference in the roles for everyone. I think
I agree.
people can do more. That's the point with AI, because it
Agree.
saves you time, but that gives you more time for more of anything else. And hopefully that will give better hospitality experience for the guests, because maybe they will have more time for you as a guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Like you said, with leisure versus business, I fully agree with that. I was myself in a holiday 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago in a resort. And of course, the amount of people working in F&B on the restaurant and, on the beach or on the swimming pool, it's like, whoa, that's a huge team. It was a big resort. But I'm thinking like exactly like you, if you're thinking about that replacing these jobs, well, you're not going to talk to anybody. It's going to be boring. It's going to be quiet. versus, of course, business hotel in the middle of the city. I think that makes more sense. That also you're coming from a conference or you just want to go to your room directly. So you don't have even the time to make this conversation. So it is definitely gonna be, depends on the segment, like leisure versus business. But yeah, it is definitely the future and we're not escaping it. It's coming. We have to be part of it. And to that, where do you think this is going the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years? What is the future looks like? And what sort of trends that you are excited about?
Well, with all the technology and everything today, I think, well, when it comes to luxury, is really subjective, right? And luxury hotels in 3 to 5 years, it's not maybe the same thing as we look at luxury hotels today. I think it will be more about this human to human service, but also it is like this escape from technology.
Yeah.
They just leave the phone and everything in the room and all the technology and just, escape from that and just be in like this oasis of freedom from work and everything. Because everywhere you go today, the notification from work and from your calendar beeps on your phone all the time. And I think maybe in the future, hotels will be a big part of that. People can just escape from that type of reality. So yeah, but yeah, it's as you said, it's about AI, and yeah, it's about the segments of type of hotels. When it comes to city hotels, that is just complete accommodation. They will be fully automated, and many of them
Already. Yeah.
are already there,
Yeah.
really. But it will be just more and more frictionless. You don't need key anymore. You can only just talk to your
Watch
gym
or
watch
whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
and say that I need the room from today, tomorrow. It do the booking for you and tells you where to go. And you just go to the room because they're using biometrics of your face and everything and just opens up the doors that you need. It will be more and more of that. Less friction, less time to do stuff. It just goes more automatically around you.
That's really true, and I agree. And to the leisure, it just came to my mind. Of course, the news, I think it was a couple of months ago, that you can now book directly from TikTok already, like if you see a resort or something. So this is sort of the partnership and use of technology that I'm also thinking it will serve the resort and the leisure. I think it will differentiate the appetite more and more to leisure and business or in between.
I see also some testing some of these new AI apps for traveling. They're not commercialized anymore, but I tested it. And it's kind of cool. That means I'm saying I'm going to Edinburgh and will stay there for 4 days. And I will travel Tuesday morning. And it starts to book everything from the Uber from my home to the airport tickets, and the transportation to the hotel for the whole stay.
Wow.
It's like a tour operator doing the whole
Yeah.
work for
Everything.
you,
Yeah.
and it just add it into your calendar and adds the hotspots into your Google Maps directly on your phone. You
This
don't
is
need to think anymore. You only need to set a budget. This is the max I am accepting, and then it just do the stuff for you, and it will give you a warning if you have to add more.
wow. Wow. This is really interesting, but it doesn't show you like which hotel you're staying in, or just give you like you said, a budget, and then it will book you somewhere.
Yeah, because there's a profile on you on that app already, so it knows what you
Really?
like. So
Yeah.
it does it best.
This is really amazing. And if you have sort of a loyalty program, whatever, it will connect that too as well.
Yeah. But
Wow.
it's kind of scary too, though, because all of that data, the
Yes.
profiling of you as a person, when that comes in bad hands,
Yeah.
I really hope that security solutions, security within technology, that it keeps up.
When it comes to technology, it's becoming more also a data game. Like the more, companies with data, the more beneficial, the more they can do actually. But the negative part is actually this is quite sensitive sometimes information. Hopefully there's like the backup security that needed for that.
Yeah. There have been many cases the
Yeah.
latest years, with, property management system or similar that lost
Yes.
customer data that just goes all over the place. And many hotels even illegally put the credit card information in the customer cards, and then suddenly, that will be used. So yeah, security is really, really
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely.
And now it's being used on the, for the money, but when people can use it for personality and, I don't know, maybe political
Yeah. Yeah. It goes
agendas,
everywhere. It
yeah,
goes everywhere. Yeah.
it's really scary. And mix
It is.
that with AI.
Yeah. I think anyway, we live in a very scary time when it comes to, data or personal information.
Yeah, I read a science fiction book about like all this, big super companies that, had their own AI solution and, they had a monopoly of all the money and the market in the world. But they also needed to have an AI police for the security part.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, who knows?
This is the way we're going. This is the way, I mean, look, I was watching this quick clip on, I can't remember, Instagram. You remember the scene from Terminator 2, the film?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the film, this scene with the robots, gonna take over the world. That was like 2027 or 2029. I was like, oh my God. And we see
Yeah.
robots now already working and doing crazy stuff. So yeah, hopefully we don't go there.
Well, we have to look at the younger generations, and I find interesting to see now, especially what I've seen here in Scandinavia, that more and more is now trying to see interest of what's going on outside of the screen.
Yeah.
Going back to the nature, that has been like, no,
Yes.
that's the new cool thing suddenly.
I hope that continues, definitely.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
really hope so. I
Yeah.
cross fingers for that.
Cross finger. We can talk for long about AI and technology. I know we can have a couple of more hours, but let's keep it to that. And I want to jump to really interesting one, I think to myself, but also I'm sure a lot of my audience is about the leadership and growth. You have been already doing some really great work, especially being, in a executive senior position, leadership position in two companies. And I wonder how you do that. You also lead and built commercial teams, led go-to-market strategies, drove transformations. But what is really the leadership lesson that you learned the hard way?
Hard way.
Yeah.
Well, that's a hard question. But yeah, if you ignore that the chemistry between, the team and the leader doesn't work, and if you ignore that, that will always be a failure. It's so important. You have to as a leader, you have to understand the team that you're working with. And if you're going to a job interview, and you want to have a job and you sit on the other side, and it's like, it's a manager and they're talking about their dreams and their dreams for their company. But what about the applicant? What is his or her dreams? That is really important to know. Because if you can synchronize that you have a common goal instead to achieve your dreams, then you are into something.
Yeah.
My best hires is people that maybe hadn't the best CV or was, maybe didn't come from the same business, but they had a flame inside them. They had a dream. And I told them that if you join my team and you're working really hard for this, I can make your dream come true.
Wow. This is
That's
very powerful.
you already have a win-win strategy with that person, right?
Yeah. I don't think I ever heard somebody would start their job by hearing that, but this is really powerful. It's really strong.
Yeah. I mean, I hire drivers, not passengers. I mean, I like to work with journeys, make something, build something, make some growth in any direction really for the company or whatever I'm doing with. And yeah, I'm looking for drivers, not passengers. Passengers can be a fast failure.
That's really great and interesting to hear. So when you look for a talent or a new hire, you look more for personality, you look for, the drive than just the CV.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if you hire a person because, oh my God, this person is so smart, has done so much good in the last past. But if you can't work with him or her
Then it's
on a social matter,
yeah,
there's a crash anyway. It doesn't help.
yeah, that's correct.
So yeah, it must be so. You have the culture within team should be very important before anything else, really.
It's so true.
If you want to go anywhere.
It's so true. Really happy to hear that. And of course, I had also this conversation before about hiring, and tech, and it is so difficult to read a CV. So you really have to see something catchy, something that really brings the conversation in, or have at least the first interview. What do you see in a CV that makes you say, okay, let's talk with that person, or I assume?
When it comes to CV, at least I have to see there's some points there that this attracts me. This is something I want to look deeper into. But I always need a face-to-face meeting.
That's good.
I don't hire just on the paper.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
I need to see if there's a fire there. There has to be, inner flame. Because let's say You're selling cars, and this sales guy has been the best vacuum cleaner salesman for like 10 years. Well, it doesn't mean that person can be good selling your product.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there's many ways to see that, but yeah, I like to see the flame into the person, and that is something I see, in a face-to-face meeting. That is that they're burning for something.
Amazing. I really like that. And we're almost end of the podcast. It goes so quick. The conversation was
Yeah.
really nice. But before we end, I want to have this very quick wrapped questions for you
Okay.
to answer. A quick answer as well. One thing every independent hotel should do this week.
Well, contact me for a coffee talk and talk about the hub, of course. Yeah, that would. I
love
promise it will be worth their time.
I
So
love
yeah.
that. I love that. Shout out. Reach out to Arne. Maybe a book or a podcast that you can advise, like always to hear.
Well, Alicia Wahlberg from Folksnest, and her keynotes about HR and recruiting within hospitality industry, and how much that affects revenue. That is really worth giving some extra attention. So check that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out, and also we'll share it later in the conversation. But thank you for sharing. Hospitality tech. I'll keep this the last one. Hospitality tech tool that deserve more attention.
Travia from Visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way it helps hotels connect with operators all over the world, and how it helps a hotel to have more control over contracts, pricing, demand, and capacity. With the tour operators and travel operators is just amazing. So that's an investment worth in gold, really. So check out Travia.io.
That's really interesting. I'm
Travia.io.
gonna check it out. I'm gonna
Yeah.
definitely check it out. And the last but not least question of the podcast is the famous one. What does level up means to you?
Every time I learn something new from failure or success, is a way to level up as I see it.
Yeah, that's really true. That's really true. It's always been, I think.
To be honest, I learn more from failures than success.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I don't think there's any successful person who didn't fail that doesn't exist in this world. So
If so, that would scare the hell of me.
yeah, me too. Me too. I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Arne, it has been a true pleasure, a really nice conversation. Thank you for the insights and exchange. I really was excited to have you, so I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you here.
Thank you, and looking forward to keep, of course, watching what you're building, and I'm confident we're going to stay in touch.
Yeah, keep your eyes up, because I'm also building something in the US now. That will be quite interesting. So,
Okay, I'm going to
yeah.
definitely keep my eyes up. I'm going to definitely wait for that. And well done on what you're doing. Really, it's really inspiring, and just keep doing that. Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth.